What is up guys, it's your boy Swell. I'm here, back with another Classic WoW video for the fresh Classic WoW servers, and today we're talking about gold making once again, and I'll be doing so in a little bit of a different way, where this is a fresh release of servers we have had in the past. So a lot of the gold making methods we used in 2019 will still be working, and I made a bunch of gold making videos back then, including investments, and I even kept track of which investments failed and which ones were successful. So today we're taking some some of the things we learned from back then, of which items or which investments were actually successful, and applying that this time around. And I'll be telling you guys my entire strategy for gold making step by step. So exactly what I'm doing and stuff like that, and what I did back in the days, excluding the failed investments of course, and just talking about what was successful and what will very likely be successful this time around as well. Now, as a quick shout out here, if you want to have access to the absolutely best gold farms in Classic WoW and the best gold making methods, then check out my gold making guide for Classic WoW through the link down below in the video description or even the pinned comment. When you get this guide, you first of all get a lot of different gold farms in Classic WoW, a lot of different gold making methods, talking about professions, what they're used for, which ones to use, and stuff like that. Just everything I know about gold making put into one place, and you also get access to a gold making Discord server with a bunch of like-minded people that are sharing how they're making gold and discussing gold making 24/7, and I post there as well pretty much all the time. You also get early access to videos in that same Discord server. So this video, for example, is part of that. You would have access to this video when the servers came out. I am recording this 2 days before the fresh servers comes out, so you would have access to this 2 days before and start investing really early. So once again, if you want to have early access to content as well, having this guide is the way to do so. Alternatively, support me on Patreon, where we have one video at the moment in exclusive access on Patreon, which covers one of the best ways to make gold on these fresh servers from the very start. So from day one, but it will be very viable for like several weeks ahead, and that video will be exclusively available on Patreon. Either way, let's talk about my gold making strategy and what I think is one of the best ways to make gold, and one of the easiest ways as well to make gold, because when it comes to me and investing and just making gold in Classic WoW, it's not like I farm gold 15 hours a day. If anything, I farm as little as I can, while still getting as much gold as I can. I'm basically just trying to get as much bang for my buck, and just making sure that I get the most amount of gold that I can in as short time as possible. And I do like farming a little bit, and I mean, I like farming a lot, but I don't farm 24/7 in Classic WoW. I'm more like, I like alts, I like doing endgame, I like farming dungeons, I like doing raids, I like doing just a little bit about everything. Now, when it comes to gold making, let's go through this on a step-by-step basis. So, first of all, we're going to be covering investments today, but in order to be able to invest, you need to have gold. So I want to talk about that first, the gold making and gold farming aspect, and for this, I like to first of all save as much gold as you can while you're leveling. If you're playing a druid, for example, you can even skip the level 40 mount. You might not want to, but you could, because you have a travel form, and the travel form is instant as well, so you can move around very fast thanks to that. So travel form is actually quite good. Same thing for a hunter with aspect of cheetah, so you can save a lot of gold by simply not buying that mount and spending that 100 gold investing into items instead. And as an example there, if you do that, so you don't buy the mount and spend 100 gold buying items, you can then sell those items likely in 3 weeks from now and get 1,000 gold back. So if you can somehow skip out on that mount, save 100 gold, you can very likely get at least 500 gold back, if not even 1,000 gold back. A lot of items are very cheap at the start and will skyrocket in price when the raids are available. That is just one example. Now, on another hand, you also want to save gold on training spells. If you're playing a feral druid like I am, for example, you can skip training, for example, Hurricane, and learning rank 3 Hurricane at the moment will cost me 3.4 gold, so 3 gold and 40 silver. The add-on I'm using here, by the way, is called What Can I Train, and it shows you which abilities you can train at what levels and which talents you need and stuff like that, and also tells you their gold cost, so you know how much gold you can save. Likewise, if you're playing a Boomkin, which I don't think a lot of people example, will be, but if you are, you can then skip out on learning the cat form abilities. So for example, you can skip out on learning Rip, rank 6 for 3.4 gold, and you can also skip out on Tiger's Fury. And also, you can skip out on Tranquility until Raids comes out, as an example as well, and then just train that as late as you can. Same thing goes for the higher ranks of Rebirth and the higher ranks of Resurrect as well. You can wait and train those closer to the launch of Raids, instead of just wasting the gold early. When it comes to gold making and making gold early, it's all about saving as much gold as you can, and whatever you can push off by a week or two, or just closer to Raids opening, the more gold you will have at the moment. And when the service comes out, nobody has gold. Like, it's a fresh economy. We're literally starting with 0 copper in our bags, and gold will have insane purchasing power. So the first step about investing is actually having gold to invest, and saving gold is a huge part of that. Whether it comes to not buying the mount at level 40, for example, if you're a druid or a hunter, or saving gold on not training every single spell. If you're a hunter, you have a bunch of spells you don't need to train, and if you're a mage, for example, if you're a frost mage, you can skip out on training a bunch of regular fire abilities, regular arcane abilities, and there's just so many classes that can skip training a bunch of abilities, and then therefore save a bunch of gold that way, and spend that gold on investments instead, and make huge profit. It's insane. So you have to ask yourself this: would you rather have 10 gold now, or do you want to have 100 gold 2 weeks from now? Because when it comes to investing, and investing early, we're literally talking about those margins. So if you have 10 gold now, and you spend those 10 gold on investments, you can then sell those items and get 100 gold in 2 or 3 weeks. So once again, what's most important to you? 10 gold today, or 100 gold 2 weeks from now? Now, with that being said, I also want to talk a little bit about which items you could be investing into if you are going to be investing. So now we have talked about part 1, which is saving and making gold while you're leveling, and then just making sure you have gold left over to put into items. Now let's talk about which items to put those in. And for that, we have this video from 4 years ago. So in the middle/late Classic WoW, this video was recorded, or 2020, I think it was phase 3 or phase 4. I could be wrong on that, but like in that time span. And in this video I talk about successful investments, because this was a week where I both analyzed my failed investments, where I lost gold, and my successful investments, where I made gold. And in Classic WoW, I made over 20,000 gold from investments alone, and that was based on an initial 1,000 gold investment, because on my hunter I farmed 1,000 gold, and instead of buying the epic mount, I put everything, and I mean everything, into items instead. Now, the first item I would start investing into in these fresh classic servers will be the small flame sack, and as you can see here, in the middle of this phase, they were selling for 2 gold each. I had also recently sold them for 4.5 gold each for small flame sacks, as you can see here from a screenshot of what their current price was. So we sold them for between 4 and 5, and they went up to 6 gold each as well for small flame sacks. And I'm just going to say this: when the servers came out and people were questing, leveling, and just doing their regular activities, you could buy these for as cheap as 10 silver each. So 10 silver, 6 gold. Buy them for 10 silver, sell them for 6 gold. That is 60 times return on your investment. Now, once again, I sold them for 4.5 gold each on average, and I bought them for 20 silver on average. That is still about, quick math here, but 22.5 or something like that times my investment, and I spent about 100 gold on these items, giving me 2,000 over 2,000 gold back. More than 2,000 gold profit on one item alone. And once again, I was able to get them really cheap while I was leveling, and there's a couple of methods to use here. Number 1, always check the auction house. If you have 2 accounts, you can have one account that is posted at the auction house 24/7, and number 2, send out whispers. If you see people questing in a location where you know small flame sacks are dropping, tell them that you are buying small flame sacks, and they can send them to you for cash on demand, or even a trade right there and then. Like if you're in the same zone as them, just tell them to invite you, and you will go to their location and you will trade. That way you can get even more of them without even having to be at the auction house, and you can then get them faster, cheaper, and easier, and you can get better deals by avoiding the auction house cost. And let's just say they're 20 silver on the auction house, people will very likely sell them for you for example 15 silver, just because that way they don't have to go to the auction house and they avoid the auction house fees. Another item here is the larval acid, selling for close to 10 gold each, and they went even higher than that as well sometimes, but I'm just using this to show you what their price was in Classic WoW. So this was the price back then. You might expect to see something similar this time around as well. It is just depending on which phase you're playing, which phase you're buying, and which phase you're selling. Now for investments, you want to buy them in phase 1, and then sell them throughout various phases. This is once again phase 2/phase 3 at the moment in Classic WoW, where I'm making this video, I believe. And as you can see here per the screenshot, the peak at the moment was 15 point a little bit more, so like 15 gold each basically, for larval acids at that time. So if you can get these cheap, it's a high level item by the way, you find this in Eastern Plaguelands for example, and you find them all over the place in Eastern Plaguelands. If you get them cheap, just know they were selling for 15 gold each back in Classic WoW. You also have Swift Thistle. This one will very likely be very cheap early, as it's a herb you find with herbalism, and you can also farm it from certain mobs like the mosswood flayers in Fellwood, and you can get these very cheap and they will steadily go up in price. They will always be in demand thanks to Thistle Tea, used by rogues to get energy back, and therefore it's part of a consumable that is used in raiding as an example. Now next up we have a very obvious one, that is Elemental Fire. They will be used in both phase 1 and phase 2, and as you can see here, they've been selling for up to almost 11 gold or 10.5 gold each, and these you will usually get under 1 gold each while people are leveling in Classic WoW. So even though it might not be a huge return on investment, you can get this return really fast. The raids, or Molten Core I should say, is scheduled to be coming out 3 weeks after the release of these servers. So you can buy Elemental Fire in week 1 and sell them in week 3 and very likely make a significant return on investment. The next one is Black Lotus, where this one is kind of depending on what they do. If they implement any of the Season of Mastery or Season of Discovery changes, which we don't think they will and we haven't heard anything about, like if they don't, Black Lotus will very likely go up in price over time simply due to inflation and more people getting to level 60. When, like in week 1, people are not rushing for Black Lotus. You might rush to farm them, but nobody is rushing to spend all the gold they have to buy Black Lotus unless you're doing investments. When the raids comes out, that is when the demand for Black Lotus really hits. Now I will say, based on my experience, Black Lotus might be one of the safer investments, but usually also one of the ones that gives less return on investments as well. If you buy Black Lotus in week 1 and sell them in week 3, for example, when the raids comes out, I would estimate you can be looking at a 3 to 4 times return on investment. Meanwhile, Elemental Fire, you can look at all the way up to 10 times return, so double or triple the profit of Black Lotus per my estimations. And coming up on the screen in just a moment here, you can also see a bunch of other investments that were also successful, and the amount of success they were, or the amount of successful they were, depended a little bit on the item. Some of them gave me double the investment, and some gave me way more, like up to 30 times profit on the investment as well. So the actual profitability varies quite a bit, but all of the items shown on the screen at the moment were profitable investments from back in the day. So yeah, that's basically how I made gold in Classic WoW, over 20,000 gold as well, which to some of you might be a lot of gold, to some of you might not be a lot of gold. Like, I know that I wasn't the richest person in Classic WoW, but based on the amount of effort I put in, I am very happy. And you have to remember that I farmed 1,000 gold to begin with, and then I basically didn't farm again for a while. I think I farmed 1,000 gold in phase 1, and then didn't farm again until phase 3 or phase 4, when I started farming for fun. So that investment from 1,000 gold kept me alive throughout the entirety of Classic, and I just kept investing the gold that I already have, or that I already had, from that initial 1,000 gold investment. So by spending your gold the right way, you can set yourself up for success throughout the entirety of these fresh servers. It is pretty insane. So yeah, hopefully this video kind of covers a little bit more about this and shows you a detailed plan and step by step, and I will have, or already have, 2 more videos about investments as well, where I talk about what to invest into more in depth, so stay tuned for those videos. Either way, hopefully the video was informative, and hopefully it will help you make a bunch of gold in the fresh Classic WoW servers. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.